Hi, this is Richard Harden. I want to welcome you to the first in a series of brief lessons in financial literacy from the Power Builders. Now, the goal of this entire economic empowerment series is to help people, average ordinary people, understand the process for being able to leave a legacy, for creating wealth. Because if you're anything like me, the traditional education I received just didn't prepare me for what it took to create wealth. I'm one of those people that grew up, did all the right things that we were told to do, went to school, got good grades, got my degree, got dual degrees from Duke University in electrical engineering and computer science with the promise that I'd be able to make a lot of money. And in fact, I was able to make a lot of money, but not to create wealth because I simply was fed the wrong set of information about the relationship between making money and becoming wealthy. So hopefully this series of lessons will empower you to understand what it takes to live, laugh, love, and most importantly, leave a legacy for your children and your children's children. Now, first and foremost, let's understand a couple of key things about wealth. Wealth is not a mystery. It is a strategy. It's a formula for making and spending money. And more importantly, it's easy to become wealthy. It's just much easier in this economy in today's times and with traditional guidance not to. So to understand wealth, and understand the difference between the wealthy, the middle class, and the poor, let's look at some basic terms and the way that First and foremost, let's talk about income. Income is money you bring in. Expenses are money you spend. Assets are something that pays you. Now, if you're an accountant or a financial planner, that probably raised your eyebrows a little bit because the traditional definition of an asset is something that you own. But in this case, an asset is something that generates income, that pays you, and liabilities are things that cost you. Now, understanding cash flow, and whenever you want to reference back to this information or understand in more detail, please refer out to Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Groundbreaking, best-selling novel. If you haven't read it already, it covers in detail the idea of your cash flow statement, both monitoring your income and expenses, the money you make and spend, and your balance sheet, your assets and your liabilities, the things that pay you and the things that cost you. Now, the cash flow pattern of the poor is fairly simple. Money comes in and money goes out. Income comes in from their job or traditional business and goes right out the expense column on stuff. Things that depreciate the moment they're bought, like food or clothes or any of those things. Taking it a step further, the cash flow pattern of the middle class is fairly straightforward. Now, in the American culture, oftentimes the middle class are mistaken for the rich because of because of our high income. We're able to do things beyond the things that the poor might be able to afford. So, in addition to income coming and going through expenses, going out through expenses, there's also purchase of liabilities. Liabilities, mind you, are things that cost you. Things like a big house, car, credit cards, luxury items spent on those credit cards. Now, the nature of things that cost you is once those debts are acquired, that money goes back out the expense column and eventually out of our lives, so that we end up on a virtual Ferris wheel, running just hard enough to continue that lifestyle of living from check to check, always worried, always stressed out about making the next house, car, or credit card payment. Now, understanding the flow of money into and out of our lives, the other differentiating factor between the wealthy and the middle class is just the strategy related to income. Primarily, for the poor middle class, there's really only one strategy that's taught anywhere, and that's linear income, trading time for dollars. Whether you're an hourly employee at a restaurant and are paid on an hourly basis, or professional like a doctor, lawyer, and engineer, where you trade your expertise to a client in exchange for money. The limitation that many of us find is at some point we run out of either time or money to get to the place that we want in life. A solution to this problem that has been solved by the wealthy is creating additional strategies for creating wealth, for creating income. First and foremost, there's the idea of passive income. Passive income, in its simplest term, is earnings from a rental property, a limited partnership, or other enterprise in which you're not actively involved. Portfolio income, income from your investments, is simply your money making money. Income from investments, including dividends, interest, and capital gains. Residual income, that's income provided from work done in a previous time frame or period. It includes royalties, publishing, or revenues that come from a business after the point that the work is initially done. And last but not least, there's leveraged income, income in a business venture in whole or in part derived from the efforts of others. Now, the ultra wealthy, the millionaires and billionaires of America and around the world have found a way to create 97% of their income from one or all of these strategies with very little of their actual income coming from their working activities. But in order to have money at work, you've got to first have money to put to work. But having those things in, the cash flow pattern of the wealthy is significantly different. They start with a set of income generated from their assets, and that income is then invested into other assets, other things that will make them more money than they could make simply with their own efforts. They invest in real estate, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, businesses, and the foremost asset invested by this class of people are in passive money businesses. Be interesting to note for all of us that Warren Buffett's first business was a pinball machine that he put into a barbershop. Now, as that pinball machine continued to earn money, as people played the games, whether he was there or not, he was able to purchase another pinball machine, which he put in a different barbershop, and to expand his business all around the city where he lived based on the income that was produced by his assets. And that flow pattern for the wealthy has an investment of their income in assets, those assets themselves generating additional income that creates increasing income and cash flow to cover all the expenses that come from either their liabilities, their needs, wants, and other things. That's our for today, but I want to finalize with that last category of investment, education, because to find opportunities like this, first and foremost, we have to be open to the possibility that they exist. But secondly, we have to continue to educate ourselves throughout our lives, because learning is the beginning of wealth. Learning is the beginning of health. Learning is the beginning of spirituality. Searching and learning is where the miracle process all begins. Formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. Please feel free to continue your learning process